I am thrilled that we're celebrating the 50 years of Dallas Women Lawyers Association. Back in 1969, a group of women informally started meeting after they organized events for the ABA coming to town, as well as the National Association of Women Lawyers coming to town. From that, in 1969, that handful of women met and supported each other through the years, so that now we are 50 years of Dallas Women Lawyers Association.
Well, it was pretty dim, I would say, because all four of us who were in the 100 that graduated from the SMU Law School that year were told by the placement office that there were no interviews, or that the placement office couldn't help by getting interviews for any of the women to any of the firms in Dallas, although they were actively interviewing men students.
There were a few women in firms, but there were no African Americans, male or female, who were in firms in Dallas when I arrived late 79 and 80.
Well, unbeknownst to me, I think the deck was pretty stacked against women, but that was not something I realized at the time. It was something that became apparent over time.
But when I started in the 80s, for example, we weren't even allowed to wear pants to the office. And in fact, I happened to be in bankruptcy court and wasn't allowed to go in because I had a pantsuit on. And was subsequently interviewed on, I think it was ABC or NBC, for wearing pants to a courtroom.
Several instances where I showed up for a deposition, and when I'd walk into the room, the men in the room would turn and say, "Oh good, the court reporter's here." Because that was the only role they could imagine there would be a woman entering the room to fill.
It was hard. It was hard. It was hard to be respected. You didn't get a lot of respect as a woman, especially when you're 5'2", like me, shorter. And as a female, I had to work a lot harder. I had to be a very good lawyer. And that's probably kind of a blessing in disguise. I had to work harder than I think most men did to gain respect. I had to be more prepared for everything. I was constantly being challenged because I was a female lawyer, and I was expected to not be prepared.
In fact, there was a lot of discrimination out there, and we encountered it pretty quickly. So the legal community was not as receptive to us, our good grades notwithstanding, as we expected and hoped it would be. We filed lawsuits against 5 major law firms. We made our own way. Many of us were successful in getting jobs in big law firms, but it took a little extra nudge in the form of litigation that the Association of Women Law Students brought on behalf of a number of women in the class, and that really, I think, accelerated change.
When I began practicing, the women lawyers at SMU had sued the major Dallas law firms just a few years before to even be allowed into these big law firms. So when I came in, of course, I was one of the first women. I may have been in the first class of women that came into my law firm in litigation.
When I started law school, let's see, I graduated in 76, so 73 would have been my starting class. The application process before that yielded very few women entries. We were a major class change in that there were 17% women. And that was kind of the start of what is now a 50-50 split, and sometimes even more women than men.
My first introduction to Dallas Women Lawyers was at an annual breakfast that they had in the fall. That was the annual membership event. And I remember sitting at a table with then Judge Ann Ashby Packer, and now Ann Ashby. And she was so warm and so welcoming. And the entire event, I just left on a cloud.
Finding out what they wanted of an organization and what DWLA could do for them to make a difference. And one of the things that unanimously came about was women wanted an opportunity to network with other women so that they could help other women, but also be helped by other women.
In the past, I think we were kind of skating along and going along to get along. There were some problems with our identity for a while there because we went through a phase when the officers didn't want to offend the board of the Dallas Bar Association by being too progressive with our ideas or our thoughts. And we kind of lost our identity in those years.
Well, I know from 2008 forward, we talked about getting a seat on the board. I know that it was very much frowned upon by us even suggesting that we get a seat on the board. And it seemed that people just thought there was too many women already on the board and DWLA didn't need a seat. I think that DAYL, about that time, gave DWLA a seat on their board. So we thought, if DAYL can do it, why can't the DBA do it?
I want to congratulate the Dallas Women Lawyers Association on its 50-year anniversary, and especially during this time, which I personally believe is its golden era. And DWLA achieved its historic note of being a voting member on the Dallas Bar Association's Board of Directors. It was a long, arduous at times, process over 3 decades. For a seat to be established.
The organization has really come into its own in the past few years. We've had a slate of presidents with really dramatic, bold styles.
From the humble beginnings of the Dallas Women Lawyers Association, we are now 50 years later. So we have 500 members, we have dozens of sponsors, we have a lot of support, not only from women, but also men. So the Dallas Women Lawyers Association has truly changed the Dallas Bar Association and all of the sister bar associations by representing women and women supporting women.
And one of the things that I really enjoyed doing and was most proud of was that we started the scholarship. And it was a bar study scholarship for law students, graduating law students, so that we could help them basically bridge that gap.
That the initiative, that mentoring initiative, is absolutely critical to what I envision for the future, which is more collaboration and really women helping other women, and then men, recognizing that the obstacles are still there when we need to address them before this is all evened out and we're good for the future.
After being a part of that or having graduated from that, 8 to 10 years before I was president, that everyone in my class from DAYL was really at the top of their game. And I realized that having someone believe in you and giving you the foundation to succeed must be a common denominator with all of these lawyers. And I thought that if we could emulate that, then maybe it would help women stay in the profession and be promoted to the positions that they deserved to be in.
Some women move out of law firms to the bench, like I did. Some go into government service, other government service, some become professors. But we want to keep more senior women in the profession. If we have hopes of changing the profession to the better, then we need to have women at the top echelons of the legal profession.
Everybody benefits by having women and gender diversity inside of your practice. So starting in 1999, I hired, as a young partner, I hired my first female associate.
We could be more, we could do more, and we were limiting ourselves. We weren't looking out to see what else could we do. And from there, it's been amazing to see the development and the growth and the things that each leader afterwards has just found a new idea or concept or just expanded things to be more involved in the community. So I've been really impressed by that.
There's so many difficult hurdles that you pass, whether it be in those comments like I explained, or in trying to juggle a family, or in trying to juggle people in the DBA. situation like we juggled, where you just have to keep moving forward and thinking about that you are good enough to be here, and you are doing a good job, and that things will change if you stay in the game. But if you stop swimming, then you sink, and you're not there to have a promotion and to make a difference.
There's so many women in Dallas who are doing things to elevate the standing of women in the legal profession. And they do it on a day-to-day basis, and they do it in large firms and small firms, and they do it in-house as counsel there and everywhere that they serve.
I love being a lawyer. I love helping people. That's why I became a lawyer. I want to use my intellect, my ability, because I want to help that person, and I believe in the rule of law.
So as women progress, they still need to include men, because it is not a competition between us. It really is. But we've been working so that we would be treated with respect, with dignity, with equality.
I think that women like me and others who have come along over the years have worked very hard to try to make the profession a better place for women. I think there are still many issues with women in the profession, and they change as the profession grows. The profession reflects the times that we live in just as everything else does. But I'm pleased with the progress that we have made in the law, but there is so much more work to do. And I really encourage the work of younger women lawyers and organizations like this one who really continue to focus on those issues.
So what do we do to improve that and make it better for women in the future? For starters, we've got to support them. We've got to give them opportunities and recognize that not always do women lawyers have the same opportunities that men do.
Being able to not only see other women who have been through this and are succeeding really helps you keep moving forward, and also having that support system is so important, and it really helps you. It helps energize you, and it will really help you throughout your career, for sure.
When I look into the future, I think in the 50 years, how much the Dallas Women Lawyers Association has grown. And then I think, what are we going to look like in another 50 years? Another 50 years of women helping women, women supporting women, women lawyers being involved in the community, in the organization of Dallas Women Lawyers Association. We need support of both women and men to get women to a place of equality.